Hey guys, this is going to be a bit of an unstructured, kind of rambly video, and I probably won't do any editing because I just really want to voice some of my frustrations with YouTube as a platform right now, and just kind of how fake a lot of it feels. So, I recently did a video about my 2025 channel year in review, and when I looked at that, when I saw the last 365 days of my channel, to me that looks impressive, and I was proud of what I was seeing. But I couldn't help but think a little bit about some of the frustrating things I find that are baked into YouTube's platform that I feel like could potentially be holding back the growth of my channel. And I am very happy with the growth I had last year and the community that I've been able to build. I really appreciate it more than anything, but it is a little bit frustrating to know that I could be doing better if there weren't some of these flaws with YouTube as a platform. And just going to kind of get into it. And I think a lot of it really has to do with a lot of the AI features that are being used to moderate the platform. And that makes sense because there are a lot of people uploading to the platform every day. It would be extremely difficult for a human to go through and do that job of moderating everything, especially when there's so much AI slop uploaded every single day. And trust me, we'll get into that in a little bit. But the first thing I really wanted to focus on that's been frustrating me is how YouTube deletes comments. YouTube uses their AI to moderate the comment sections, and it's extremely frustrating as a creator for a few reasons, and one of them being that YouTube has a feature where if you want to censor certain words, you have that option. And we don't necessarily know what words are going to trigger it. We can maybe make some guesses, but it's not just outright swearing. And since I have a channel where I talk about comic books, sometimes people talk about what goes on in the stories. Some of that YouTube's automation bots may ding as inciting violence, Something I've noticed is that I think a lot of it has to do with things it perceives as inciting violence or of a sexual nature. But again, this is just me speculating because it's not like there's a list of words that are banned, and I don't even think it's specific words. I think it's more how you phrase things and how the AI picks that up. Because I've had my husband write comments on my videos and they never show up. And there are kind of two ways that YouTube sort of shadow bans comments. One of them is just straight up, your comment is deleted, you press send, it's in the void, and if that happens, it's possible that you could have blocked the person from leaving a comment on your channel. You have the option to hide people from your channel, but in a lot of cases, it just seems like an innocent misunderstanding on part of the AI. Because my husband, I've watched him leave a comment on my video that never showed up. And then after that, he left a comment and it was hidden. So the comment did show up, but I had to go out of my way to find it. And there's a whole process for finding comments that YouTube is hidden, and that's sort of another way that they shadow ban comments that they don't like. And I think that's really what it boils down to, is just YouTube doesn't like certain things and doesn't want them to show up on their videos. I don't know, but I would prefer YouTube not moderate the conversation that my video sparks, whatever that may be. And you know what? If I see a comment that is just so horribly offensive, I don't want any of my other subscribers to have to see it and lose brain cells, I will take it into my own hands to delete that comment. And that's only happened a couple times where I've had to delete a comment because it was just so obscene. Like, I've had people say things about, like, my husband that I needed to draw the line at, but outside of that, like, my comment section is pretty much fair game. And sorry. And, like, you have the option as a creator to both hide a user from your channel if somebody is just harassing you. You have the option to hide certain words if there's just something that for whatever reason you really don't want to see. And you also have the option to just outright delete the comment. And it's that simple. And I think that should be up to... Oh, and when you're uploading the video, you also have the option to select if you want YouTube to moderate your comment section. And for some reason, even if you hit no moderation, they're still going to do it. Like, they're still going to delete certain comments that they deem as inappropriate for whatever reason. And I don't necessarily know, like, I myself have had some comments deleted before, and I think a lot of it just has to do with things I've talked about related to a comic book story that maybe set off something about inciting violence. I genuinely just don't know. And another thing that's shadow banned in comments is any type of cross-promotion off-platform. Like, if you post something about your Instagram in a comment section, and this actually became an issue because a little while back, last year, there was another comic book channel that was trying to invite me on for an interview, and he was having a hard time trying to reach me. Like, he was leaving comments on my videos saying, you know, the message on Instagram, and they just weren't showing up. And then eventually we got to a comment exchange where he invited me to the interview, and when I tried to comment my Instagram, the comment was deleted. And I've seen this happen before, things like Instagram, Reddit, and, you know, good luck trying to promote your video anywhere off YouTube. Like, when I first started doing this channel, I would promote heavily on Instagram, and that really helped me build some of this early following. But doing that is pretty much like you are basically looked at as a spam bot now if you try to promote your own video on your own Instagram page. Like, if I post a link to a video in a story, it's going to get like a small sliver of if I were to just share a meme to my story. Like, it's insane. Or if I was to share like a cat video. But it's just, they give no reach to any sort of external promotion, and they actively hide it in YouTube comments. And the reason for that is because they just don't want you taking people off the platform, which is kind of ridiculous because, like, in the one situation, we were trying to schedule an interview that was going on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have a direct message feature anymore. They used to many, many years ago. I don't know why they don't have it anymore. I guess some people just getting blown up with crazy people, but it would make things a lot more convenient, you know, instead of having to give out things like your Instagram or your email, you know? It's just something like that is very frustrating, and it really just upsets me to know that a lot of potential conversations that my videos may have inspired were never seen, and that leaves people either thinking that I ignored their comment or thinking that it got deleted. And a lot of YouTube viewers might not understand the nuance to realize that I'm not deleting the comments myself. And, whenever a comment gets hidden from me, because you'll know when a comment's hidden, you'll see the number of comments go up, but you won't actually get a notification on YouTube about the comments, and you can find the comments, but you have to go out of your way to do it. And whenever I do, it's normally something pretty innocent and inoffensive, and I can normally find like maybe one little word that maybe set it off. Like my husband Luke, he means well. He's a little bit of a loudmouth, and he can use a little bit of vulgar language. And now it seems like every time he comments on my videos, his comments are hidden, and I have to go out of my way to find them. And that also sucks, because if you guys click on the comments of my videos, like, even though the comment's still there, it's hidden, so if you're in the top chat, that won't show up. You have to actually go over to newest comments, and it's just so sad. Like, it's sad to think that there are potential conversations that could be had that are never coming to be. And YouTube definitely pushes videos in a way based on engagement, so that's engagement being lost. That's a chance for the video to possibly be pushed further. And that's just one little thing that was not always the case. Like, YouTube used to be a free-for-all, and I really just, I don't get it. Like, I think a lot of it is maybe about protecting kids and bullying, and maybe that's why, some things about, sex or things about women may be censored. But I think that YouTube should trust us as creators, and like for me, when I upload a video and I select no moderation, that's what I mean, and it's like YouTube doesn't trust me in a way, and like, no, you can't see this, as if I haven't already seen it all already. Like, it's kind of nuts. And a lot of this is just misunderstandings based on the YouTube AI and how the entire platform is just being moderated by AI. Every video you see is what the AI thinks you want to see, and not necessarily what you subscribed to see. And I've been hearing so many complaints from people that their YouTube recommendations have been dog shit lately, and I agree. I have been hating the videos that have been recommended to me. It is just insane. And I really think it's just, YouTube is heavily pushing the safest, most palatable videos, and I think the reason for that is kind of baked into the AI that is moderating the entire site. And hear me out, because there are a lot of videos out there, even if they're not like what you might think of as AI slop videos, there are a lot of videos where the script is being written by AI. And I kind of wonder if how well a video does on YouTube is in part due to how well the AI understands what your video is about. So if you're talking about kind of niche, broad topics like I am here, that might kind of confuse the AI a little bit and send it in some different directions. But when a script is written by something like ChatGPT, of course AI knows exactly what that is. And, you know, it's almost like it can pick up on its own language, and that's why I've heard some people say that they think YouTube might favor AI content over genuine content, and of course part of that has to do with just the output, the fact that they can crank out a lot more videos than someone like me can, but also I do think there might be something kind of baked into the YouTube algorithm where it's more likely to recognize something that was also written by AI. Because I've noticed something on some videos that tend to get popular where YouTube will give like an AI summary, and that doesn't happen to every video, and I've noticed that my videos that tend to get more popular, if like I've actually seen those videos get recommended to me in my feed before, and those ones tend to have an AI summary. So that's just kind of a theory I have, and like I said, I can't really prove any of this stuff. This is just stuff that I've noticed because I pay a lot of attention to little things like this, and I like to think about it. I like to think about, like always I like to think about what I could be doing better, and there are absolutely some things that I think I could be doing better, but like I said before, it is kind of frustrating when I feel like my videos have more potential, but they just aren't always reaching the right audience. And yeah, I think that there's definitely a bit of an issue there where like sometimes a video I can tell if it's gonna do well or not right away. And there are some times when, like, yeah, I just posted a dud video, the click-through rate is really low, maybe it was just a bad thumbnail, just not an interesting topic, but also maybe the AI misunderstood something in the video and it was pushed to the wrong audience, because something about the YouTube analytics is that you can see where your videos are being watched from. You can see what kind of videos people are clicking on your videos from, and the videos I put out that do well, they're being recommended on comic book channels, and the other types of videos that don't do as well, it's just like random shit, like the most random shit. And so I wonder if maybe there's some confusion there, like it, or also, but it's also frustrating because I've had enough videos that have done well and have gained me a significant number of subscribers to where it feels like YouTube does know what audience my videos should be going to, and it's almost like sometimes they intentionally send it to the wrong place. And I know that this might sound kind of conspiratorial, what I'm getting into, but hear me out a little bit. There was a video I put out last year, and this was a video that, like, it was doing great. It had a really high click-through rate. It was a little bit shorter than some of the videos I normally put out, but the click-through rate was really high, and the response... Whoa, sorry. I'm sorry, had to get that out. Okay. The click-through rate on it was really, really high, and it showed no signs of slowing down. This was like, an absolute 1 of 10. This was the best video I had put out in a while. And I just, I kind of was able to predict that this was going to be a video that passed 2,000 views, which for my channel is pretty good, And I only, I'm approaching 3,000 subscribers, so to, regularly get videos around 2,000 plus views, it's really not that bad. And so I knew this was probably going to be a video that hit like 2,000 views or something. So then it just kind of randomly stopped at 1,000 views. And like my entire channel had just kind of flatlined. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything really like that before. I think this was around April of last year, so maybe something changed within their system. But something I noticed is that when you look at your YouTube analytics in the browser, there will be all these pop-ups. And one pop-up that kept showing up, it had the thumbnail of the video that just completely flatlined that I knew should be getting more views. It had that thumbnail, and it was kind of like nudging me to promote the video. And like it was telling me about how many more impressions my video could get if I paid to promote it. And of course, I just ignore that, but I definitely took note of it, that started popping up right after my video stopped getting impressions out of nowhere. And then that went on for a couple days, and I just kept ignoring it, and then eventually that pop-up went away, and the views started going up again. And that video went from being stuck at 1,000 views to being, I think it's around like 2.5 now. So about what I thought it should have been at. So something interesting to think about. Like, I think YouTube, they know what audience wants to see my videos. I think that they do kind of try to make it intentionally a little annoying for us, so we may feel a little bit more inclined to pay for promotions. And I just think that that is absolutely absurd. Like, I am not getting monetized from YouTube to start paying them money just for something as superficial and fake as that, as advertising your videos. Like, and YouTube advertisements, that stuff is for people that are like selling a product, you know? Like, it's not just for some asshole that wants a few more thousand subscribers. Like, it's just so sad. And like, I've heard about people doing it, and long term it just is not good for your channel, and that's probably because it attracts a lot of bot activity, and just it's fake. Like, I just don't even know how else to say it, but it's just so fake. And that's why, like, you know, I messed up a couple times in this video. There are a couple things that I might kind of clip around, but I just didn't really want to contribute to how fake everything feels today. And, you know, that's not to say that normally my videos are fake, but like, you can tell that I kind of talk a little bit different. I kind of try to get a little bit more to the point. And today I'm really just kind of sitting here and just thinking a little bit, because I think that's just really what's been kind of frustrating me the most about YouTube, and kind of turning me off from wanting to call myself a YouTuber. It is just that everything feels so fake. Everything feels like a grift, and I think that that's why a lot of the impressions I get on my feed just don't appeal to me, because like, I've seen some of those YouTube growth things. I talked about it in my last video, and it's like, I can just see people by the numbers following these rules, making these AI thumbnails that are just copies of other videos, the topic they're talking about, just copying someone else. Like, and it's being encouraged. Like, it's being encouraged as a creative way to start your channel by just copying videos and thumbnails. And I don't really hear stuff like that too much right now, but I think there was enough of it that it just kind of started this whole wave of slop. And it's just made it kind of hard for me to come on here and really just talk to a camera and feel comfortable with it. Like, there's just something to me that feels so uncomfortable about being on YouTube when everything just feels so fake. And like, I am someone who I like to come on here and put on a performance. Normally I'm a little bit more, high energy than this maybe. I'm a little bit more out there, but right now I just don't want to. I remember a time when YouTube wasn't all about the money, and like, there was a partner program, there were people making money, but there was passion. People had fire in them. They actually were excited to come on here and talk about it. And now I think that everyone's just kind of afraid of being different. And it's sad. It really, really is, because YouTube used to be such a unique, diverse place, and it still is if you're able to find the right channels, but unfortunately, it just becomes so hard. It just becomes so buried under the most generic kind of shit. And it makes me sad, because it's really, really off-putting to somebody who's new to this and doesn't necessarily understand what it is. Like, I've been through all seasons of YouTube. I've been growing up with YouTube, essentially. YouTube was new when I was a little kid. So, like, I've been on this site my entire life. I was molded and shaped by it, and it's just so different. Like, there has been a partner program for a long time, and there was even a point where you only needed 100 subscribers to be a YouTube partner, and it was crazy. But now they've definitely made the thresholds a little bit higher. But the fact that, YouTube now wants you as a creator to pay for what you think is a fair deal at your video. And I don't know, man, but just the fact that I was able to predict kind of where that video was gonna go, and that's exactly where it went. After YouTube figured out I wasn't going to pay them, like, and this is, just advice. I know some people who have tried the YouTube promotions, and I don't judge you if you just tried it, I don't know what the reasons are for why people decide to try it, unless if they are selling some kind of a unless if they're selling, like, some kind of a product. But the way I kind of see it is, like, there are two kinds of channels. There are people who pay YouTube, and then people who get paid by YouTube, and I want to be someone that gets paid by YouTube. Like, it's just crazy. Like, for something like comic books, there's really only so far that I think promoting a channel could really get you, unless if you actually are selling a comic book and you want that running as an ad. But like, to just promote a channel where all you do is hang out with your friends and show comic books, like, I just think that it's kind of silly when, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it's like, the channels that I know of that have used promotions are, getting less views than I get without promotion. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to say this in a way that, like, doesn't sound mean, because I'm not judging people, but it's just that, like, why would you do that instead of figuring out why your videos can't do that organically? And yeah, it's all this stuff I'm saying, that this is just what's been going through my head. A lot of it is just kind of my speculation, my just observing YouTube and my analytics and the behavior of some other channels, and just like, to be honest, I really don't even watch a whole lot of YouTube anymore, and there are a handful of channels that I still watch, that I still like to engage with the community of, but I really just get the impression, especially with the comic book community, and I really hope that nobody takes any offense by this, but it really feels like there's a lot of like performative friendship going on in the comic book community. And like, I'm not saying that everyone who has a stream and hangs out with their buddies is performing that friendship, but there definitely is this sort of like clique. And it's not just one, there are multiple sort of cliques of people that all kind of hang out together in live streams, but it's like they're all also kind of competing with each other on their own channels, and there are, you know, some things that people take a little personally sometimes, and you know, there's just a lot of it that just feels fake, and that's why I'm, you know, especially right now, I'm very careful about kind of, you know, who I let in to my circle and who I'm going to let on my channel. You know, I haven't really done a lot of collaborations, and that is something I want to do in the future, but it's like I want to kind of build a relationship with someone before we get to that step. Because, you know, like, there are plenty of channels out there that, you know, kind of invite everyone on, and I definitely couldn't do that. You know, I'm very protective of my channel, and unfortunately there are a lot of people out there that just don't necessarily have your best interest at heart, and if they do have their own channel and feel maybe threatened by another channel growing faster than theirs, there's some stuff I've seen in the comic book community, and not just that, in other spaces of YouTube that feel backhanded, like guys kind of acting like friends, but in a way saying things that feel backhanded, kind of undermining their friends and downplaying their friends' success, and I don't know, like, I want to have a community with my channel, and I want to interact with other YouTubers, and I have, and there are plenty of great people that I've been on shows with, and, you know, it's always a wonderful experience for me to be welcomed into something like that, but okay, I'm sorry, I kind of started rambling a little bit and got a little bit off topic, so I want to pivot back now to some of the stuff that just really frustrates me about YouTube right now, and part of that is the fact that when you make a channel based around, like, media, like movies or comic books, you would expect the audience that you build to actually, like when you build a channel around media, like movies or comic books, you would expect there to be more discussions about the actual stories. And, you know, I'm not here to gatekeep how anyone collects. I know that there are people that don't read comics and they just like collecting the covers. You know, whatever it is, however you like to collect, that's fine. But it just is a little frustrating when I am really excited about a comic book and I just want to share my thoughts on the internet, but nobody seems to care. Like they want to see me go to the shop and they want to see me pull the book off the shelf and give someone money for it, but then after that they don't really care about what's inside of the book. And that's just something that, like, it's not just me, it's not just comic books. I've heard this in, like, you know, video games, movies, any sort of, like, niche physical media collectible. There are the two sides. There are the people that are purely the collectors that, you know, they don't care about what's inside. For them, it's just all about what's on the outside, what's on the packaging. And then there's my side where I'm kind of in the middle, where I like good packaging. I'm a collector at heart, but I love the stories. I love media analysis. And that's just another thing that is really frustrating to me, that seems to be kind of dying in this modern age, is media literacy seems to be going down. And I think that's another thing that we could probably blame AI for. A lot of people just go to ChatGPT without using their critical thinking skills, and your brain is just rusting away. And that just seems to be what is happening right now. And it's frustrating. As somebody who, like I've said it before, I'm a pretentious film nerd. I've studied film, and I've studied film critique, film analysis, and to just see all of the bad takes about movies or shows or comic books, just a lot of bad faith takes from people who either didn't pay attention to the media they were consuming, or they just outright didn't read it or watch it. They either are lying, or they are just really, really bad at media critique. And it's incredibly frustrating, because as somebody who would like to do critique in a bit of a different way than I kind of see other people doing it, it kind of feels like a losing battle, because if you do kind of, you know, voice opposition to something, there's going to be a mob of people that don't like what you said, don't want you to say that. But then if you also play it too soft, then you're going to get called out for that as well. So it feels like there's just really no winning. Nobody's happy if you don't just completely love or completely hate something. And I think that something really important is being lost, because back in the day, you know, movies would sometimes not do that great in the theaters, but might have a second life when people buy the DVD and rewatch the movie and notice things they didn't before. And a lot of movies have become kind of cult classics that way, because they were hated, they got horrible reviews from critics at first, but then over time, you know, more things were noticed, things were picked apart and analyzed, and I just really don't see people doing that anymore. And when I do, it just feels so safe, so surface level. Like, it really does feel like a lot of YouTube critics are either lying about their opinions, or they're just watering it down so much so that they don't piss off a big group of people, they don't piss off their audience. And frankly, I just don't care. Like, something like a comic book storyline or a movie just is not the end of the world. So guys, I don't want to come off as too negative in this video, but there were just some things that I just have needed to get off my chest, because a lot of this has been weighing on me for a while, and it's just, honestly, it's been making it hard for me to make videos. It's been just making me kind of second guess myself a lot of the times, and I know that I shouldn't. And I know that there are a lot of people that really appreciate my videos and want me to keep going, and you know, it's like I look back at some of my old videos and it's like I'm a much better presenter now, but I was just so carefree with some of the things I would say, and it's like now I feel a need to second guess everything, because there's always going to be someone, no matter how nicely you put something or no matter how well you explain the point you're actually trying to make, there's going to be some asshole that just completely misinterprets what you're saying or just flat out lies. And you know, I've just kind of learned to accept that, and that's something I did kind of talk a little bit about in my last YouTube video, was kind of accepting some of the downsides and maybe, you know, doing my best to turn it around into something positive. But and that's what I'm doing, you know, like I don't want to come off as negative right now in this video, because overall I feel really good about YouTube and about particularly my channel, because I don't really want to grow a massive channel. I've talked about it before, I really don't, but what I do want is for as many people that resonate with my channel to find it as possible, because I want to spread the love of comics. You know, that's really what I want, and that's why I'll make a video talking about a comic book that might get 200 views, because I don't care, you know, like if I recently did, you know, a Green Lantern cover video that didn't get a whole lot of views, but I wanted to make that video. My video about comic artists, that didn't get a whole lot of views, but I really wanted to make that video. Those are passion projects for me, you know, and I've just, you know, I want to do more of that. I really just want to care less in 2026, because, you know, I love doing the comic shop videos, but the reality is that I just cannot afford to do that as frequently as I would like. And as frequently as you guys might like me to. Like, in 2026, I seriously need to cut back on the comic collecting, cut back on spending money, you know, maybe let go of some stuff, and then maybe start kind of building up some other parts of my collection. Like, I really want to work on some more of my Silver Age, Batman, and Detective comics this year, and I feel like there's a lot of room that's just being taken up by stuff that isn't necessarily important to me right now. And that's kind of getting into another thing I wanted to talk about, which is, you know, kind of tied to the fakeness, and that's just the fact that YouTube is very heavy on the consumerist aspect of a hobby, and that's kind of a shame, because yeah, you know, like I love collecting comic books, I love collecting variant covers, I love, you know, little Funko Pops and, you know, fun stuff like that. And I love watching haul videos, I love seeing what other people get, you know, those are the kind of videos I've always enjoyed watching on YouTube, people's hauls. I just love seeing what other people get in their collection, but something has changed. It used to be a lot more humble. It used to be like, you know, just like a guy in his bedroom, like, oh yeah, these are all the Blu-rays I got in the last 2 weeks, you know? And now it's like, it feels like every week there are some people that spend thousands of dollars on comic books. And like, I try to keep myself within a certain budget every week. And, you know, some weeks it's over that, some weeks it's under that. This week I only got a few books. I only spent about $13 at the comic shop this week. So like right now, if you click on any YouTube video with a channel above 20,000 subscribers, you're probably going to find some kind of an affiliate link or some kind of a course that they're promoting for what I don't even really know. But it's just very overwhelming when you're just like trying to be a normal person on the platform. And yeah, I'm okay with the audience I have right now, but the fact that when I do post a video that does pop off a little bit more and does reach a little bit of a wider audience, my channel grows significantly and I will get a bunch of subscribers. So like that tells me that YouTube knows what the right audience is, and it feels like sometimes they're just kind of not doing it for some reason. And, you know, it is what it is, and I've accepted that YouTube is highs and lows. It's just kind of like riding the waves, and sometimes hit a little bit of a big one, but most of the time it's just pretty normal. And you know, that's what it is right now. My channel isn't doing great or anything, it's just normal. But it is frustrating when you kind of know that you have this potential, but there are just some things kind of outside of my control. And yeah, there are some things that might be in my control because I don't necessarily try to make my videos super palatable to everyone, but that doesn't mean that my audience doesn't exist just because I'm not palatable to everyone. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm going on about anymore. But I think I'm gonna end this pretty negative video. It's just like, I remember a time when YouTube was real and like people still made money, but like shit was real. And like people showing their hauls, it felt normal. It didn't feel as manufactured as it does right now. And so that's why I just kind of, I'm gonna cut this up probably a little bit, but this is going to be a mostly uncut video. I really just want to get my raw thoughts of just sort of my frustration of trying to be a normal person and being overwhelmed by just the chaos, the noise of people trying to make money and lie their way to the top of YouTube. And I just think it's sad. So if you can remember a time where YouTube was not like this, let me know. I mean, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword because right now YouTube is a lot easier to grow a new channel. It's a lot easier to grow a new channel right now than it was a decade ago even. You know, but it's also a lot more frustrating because it felt like there was more of a chance for niche things to be seen than now, because now even search results are influenced by the AI algorithm. So thank you for hearing me out until the end of the video. If you liked the video, give it a like. If not, let me know how much you hate me, I guess, and we'll see if YouTube leaves the comment up. But yeah, thank you guys for hearing me out. I think that's kind of the end of the rambling. So yeah, have a good day, guys.